I said, trust me, Rich, it doesn't even matter if he competes or not. He is great on camera. I've seen him act on camera. The way he is on camera is perfect for YouTube because fitness on YouTube was just blowing up then.
Yeah.
Actually, before Rich, there wasn't that much.
Yeah.
There was some really crappy training shots with really hardcore rock music, but there's no story. There's no one was really giving advice or talking about their day. He was the first that did that.
Yeah.
So thanks to Ryan, he gave me the job to put together all these episodes. Me and Rich the day before would talk about some episodes, the subject matter, and suggest those to Ryan. So he'd say yes or no, and that's what we would shoot. I guess the rest is history because
Yeah.
it was like a perfect storm. So Rich was amazing on camera.
Yeah.
Ryan had that vision that translated to YouTube perfectly. YouTube was really discovering bodybuilding and fitness at the time. And I think within 6 months, he was the most popular bodybuilder on YouTube, period.
And like it was just unbelievable. He was the most viral bodybuilder on the planet.
Yeah.
Even the Mr. Olympias and Jay, all of them, they wanted to come into the booth and meet Rich and get a
Yeah.
picture with
Yeah.
him. It was like that crazy. And
Yeah.
if it wasn't for you and Keller kind of having the connection and the vision to take that risk,
Yeah.
there it is. There's the stuff right there. But to take that risk, it would have never happened, in my opinion. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Muscle Discord. And I have a very special guest on the show today, Mr. Alex Ardenti. Man, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Well, man, it's been a long time coming. We've worked together in the past. We got a lot of good times, memories together, working in the bodybuilding and the fitness industry. And I thought, well, who better to have on the show to talk about the bodybuilding industry and everything that's involved with it than Alex Ardenti. So, really an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you. What was the first job we worked on? You were with Muscle Tech at the time, correct?
No, with Mutant,
You
and
didn't come from the Muscle Tech
no,
era?
no,
That
no, that
was
was
really?
that was Keller. That was
Oh, I
yeah,
know. Yes,
yes,
I know Ryan
no,
Keller and Scott Welshaw.
yeah,
I
man,
thought you came from the muscle tech. I just figure that everybody who comes from the bodybuilding world at some
yes,
point worked at Muscle Tech, except you.
yes. Except me.
Except
I was
you.
with. I don't know if you remember NX Labs with Scott
Oh, for
Welch.
sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. That's where I. So maybe it's
You're
kind
just
of
too
close.
young. You're too
Uh,
you're too young for us. That's what it
exactly.
is.
A little bit too young.
Okay.
But yeah, no. So we're all kind of involved in that together, and so we got a lot of stories to tell, and we'll dive into that in a second here.
Yeah.
But I got a list of questions here for you. So I will jump into the first one here. So, what inspired your journey into photography, and how did your passion for bodybuilding intersect with your career behind the lens?
Oh.
Intertwine them.
Um, like most of my careers, it just kind of started by chance. It just kind of happened in a very organic, natural way.
Yeah.
Photography especially.
Mhm.
Um, at the time, around the maybe 1991, 92 era, I decided I just didn't want to be a professional bodybuilder. I didn't want to continue just putting on mass and doing contests at that point. So I did have a year or two of just not knowing exactly what I wanted to do, and I was working mostly as an actor, just doing little bit parts, doing a lot of national commercials actually. So I was making a pretty decent living from commercials.
Yeah.
And at the time, you had to have 8x10s professionally done to be an actor. So a
Yeah.
lot of the times, you would book a job based on how good your headshot was.
Yeah.
So I was paying all these photographers to do headshots constantly. Your agent would always ask for new headshots. Photography was something that I did at a very young age, like 8 or 9
Okay.
years old. My parents bought me a camera,
Okay.
and I just loved it. I was bringing it to school. I was shooting everything. I was taking such great shots that my relatives they didn't believe that I was taking these pictures. Like, you didn't take the shot. Like, yes, I did. I get angry. Like, I
Yeah.
took the shot. Like, oh, come on, who took this picture? Like, I took the picture.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would make me really upset
Yeah.
because I'd get my cousins, I'd dress them up as cowboys, and I'd shoot them in a very cinematic kind of
Okay.
way, even at 10 years old. So it was
Yeah.
always in the back of my mind. I knew I had this talent. When I bought a $300 camera at Costco,
Yeah.
I just took shots of other actors on the set in between
Okay.
takes.
Yeah.
They took shots of me, this and that. And then when I was hiring photographers, it's just one of those I can do that kind of moment. Like, I
Yeah.
just paid this guy, but I know exactly what he did. I think I can actually do it better. So I started taking headshots of actors and actresses,
Okay.
sent them to some agencies, got work right away. Then I thought, let me take a shot of a bodybuilder. So I took some shots of this bodybuilder, just a local guy. I sent him to Bob Kennedy, and he sent me a check back. And like, I made $210. And some of those bit parts were paying
Wow.
$100. And like, I made $210 in 45 minutes on the
Yeah, that was
beach.
back in the day. So that's 200 is worth a lot back then. Yeah,
That,
compared
well,
to
my
yeah.
rent was like 450.
Yeah.
So in 1 hour,
Yeah.
you do half your rent. That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
my roommate was like, "No way, you made this much money."
Yeah.
And it wasn't really the money that motivated me, just the fact that looking through the magazines, at the time, like, I think I can do these kind of shots. Certain shots were very elaborate, and I knew I
Yeah.
couldn't, but I could do all the outdoor beach stuff. That came very naturally to me. So
Okay.
Bob Kennedy really started funding my career in the sense that I would send him 100 shots. He'd buy a few for like $35 a pop.
Yeah.
He'd send them back, and whatever I spent on that just came out of the profit. So I lost a lot of
Okay.
money just because film and developing was so expensive.
Yeah.
So I didn't make money on every single shoot, of course. So
No.
I just started that way, just kind of stumbling upon it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, can you tell us about your first major breakthrough as a fitness photographer and how it shaped the rest of your career?
I think that first shoot, sending it to Bob Kennedy, really shaped my career. Just
Okay.
if I had continued to shoot and not get paid, I think it was just so expensive at the time,
Yeah.
that I might have been discouraged.
Yeah.
But Bob, I don't know if you dealt with Bob. He was so encouraging to a fault. I mean,
Okay.
he was just so positive, and just he had a lot of tough love. Like, he would criticize you also, but in
Mhm.
that paragraph of where you tore your work down, he would
Yeah.
always finish with some kind of encouragement, and
Okay.
that was enough for me,
Cool.
to go on.
Yeah.
So that was a big breakthrough. And then when Joe Weider finally started to hire me, that was my second big breakthrough, because at the time, well, I live 10 minutes from his Weider office, down
Yeah.
in Urban Street, Woodland Hills. So after I started working for Muscle Mag, like, oh, I'll just work for Muscle Fitness now because they're down
Yeah.
the street, right?
Yeah.
So the harsh reality was that they're paying big bucks to a lot of big photographers that were professional. There was Robert Reef, Chris Lund, that was doing all of Flex
Yeah.
magazine. So the art director was honest, like, your stuff's really good, but I can't justify paying you when I've got all these other guys on salary.
Yes.
But I kept going back, like, every month. I'd go back, like, look, I shot Mike O'Hearn. Now this looks great. Then I shot this great girl. Like, oh, I discovered this girl or this athlete. So there was this rapport. And I'd say after maybe 3 years of trying, they
Yeah.
finally gave me an assignment for Flex magazine. And that was shooting the Olympia, which was on spec, which means that I would shoot something, then I would offer it to them to see if they wanted to buy it.
Yeah.
So once I got that 6-page layout in Flex magazine, I thought, wow, my stuff is like next to Robert Reef, next to Chris Lund, and then my name is there. And that was just like such a feeling of accomplishment that it's hard to describe, because it wasn't intentional. I didn't go to school for it or anything. I just kind
Yeah.
of created this new career for me that I just absolutely loved. And now I'm being validated by Bob Kennedy and Joe Weider.
Yeah.
That's like for an actor, winning an Emmy and an Oscar at the same time. It's just that kind
It's
of blew my mind. As the meathead that I was and still am,
yeah.
that was really cool, I think.
Well, I'm just showing your Instagram page here
Oh,
for everyone to see,
I thought I
and
recognized.
yeah, and so you've
Not
worked
as
with
young, as
legend.
good looking as that, but
Yeah.
at some point maybe I was.
Well, yeah, people realize you were like a top bodybuilder. Like that's where you came from. So that's why I think it just intertwined so well with you with photography and working with bodybuilders and capturing the moment and knowing what to capture because you do it yourself. there's a lot of photographers out there that aren't bodybuilders, or just regular people, if you want to call it that, and they shoot bodybuilders. You were actually a bodybuilder, and you shot bodybuilders. So it just, maybe that's why you were so successful, because you just knew the right way to capture them.
And isn't that frustrating when you get a fashion photographer who's trying to tell you how to pose and do this and like,
Yeah.
dude, you know,
No.
I know you're amazing, but this is
Yeah.
bodybuilding. I know my angles. You know, I'm
Yeah.
not telling you how to use your camera, but I know I look bad on this angle. I look great on this angle because that's what
Exactly.
bodybuilders do. They study.
The,
And you can't walk by a reflection without doing like 3/4 side chest or just, you know, oh, my arm looks bad that way, but I know it
yes.
looks much better this way. That's
Yeah.
just that's the nature of the sport. So it's
Yeah.
feedback for us. So that's
Yeah.
why oftentimes I like asking, especially if it's an IFBB pro, just give me the best shots that you studied and you know. And then I'll suggest some just by looking at you, and we can try it.
Yeah.
And right now with digital, if they're not good, we just delete it. No one's going to see it, but it's worth experimenting now. It's better that you experiment now on my set than on the Olympia stage. Don't
Yeah.
try to pose and, you know, maybe it's good, maybe it's not. If you have any doubt, don't do it. But now's the time to experiment and we can try different things, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So, and I'm showing, like, okay, you've worked with the best of the best. Like, there's Ronnie Coleman.
Ronnie in Rome. Oh my God,
I
that was
mean,
a pleasure and a nightmare at the same
that's
time.
yeah. Tell us how. Like, that was kind of my next question. Like, how was it capturing these athletes, these top elite athletes? You're a fan of
Well,
them, right?
yeah.
Too, and so you're kind of. I don't know if you're nervous shooting some of these guys, but it's just like, how is it working? For example, with Ronnie Coleman in Rome.
First of all, I'm always nervous for
Yeah.
whatever reason. I've been doing this
Yeah.
33, 32 years.
Yeah.
I still get jitters, even if I'm just shooting a friend at the beach. It's just, I feel that there's a lot of responsibility
Yes.
because, especially in bodybuilding, that bodybuilder prepares for that. It's not like an actress or an actor. He misses his hair up and he shows up and he shoots. Oh, if we don't do it today, we can just do it tomorrow morning. Like, no,
And they're
this guy's ready
depleted and they're
now.
dieted down. They've been
He might
training
be
for.
smooth in 2 hours. I got to
Yeah.
capture him. So
Exactly.
I feel that angst sometimes, and I
Yeah.
maybe I should go to therapy. I've never been, but maybe I should talk about this.
Yeah, man.
I
Well.
After the first couple of shots, everything just comes down like, okay, I got this. I've done this a million times.
Yeah.
Why am I even nervous about it? I
Yeah.
don't tell the other person because you don't need a nervous photographer in front of you, right? So I say it's nervousness. I'm aware of the importance of capturing an image that will last probably centuries. If it's not the
Yeah.
internet's,
Oh
whatever
yeah.
we invent in the future, images, especially great images, float around forever.
Yeah.
So I just want to do a good job. So I get a little bit. What was the question? Because I know I went on a
Yeah,
tangent
just
there.
how is it working with, like, here's like Milos and
Oh
like you,
yeah.
again, you've worked
Well,
with the best in the world, and it's like, how
yeah,
is it working
yeah.
with these guys? Yeah.
Um, it's easier in one way just because they're such professionals,
Yeah.
especially guys like, well, Ronnie too, but especially Milos and Jay Cutler. I mean, they
Yeah.
come prepared to a fault. I mean, they
Hmm.
come so prepared where I need to step up my game. Like these guys are there to work, and both times, both with Jay and Milos, oftentimes
Yeah.
I would shoot them for 2 3 hours and I'd be exhausted just mentally because you're focusing. You know, you have a million things to think about. You're thinking
Hmm.
about the lighting. You know, if their abs are flexed or not, the background lighting. If someone's in the way or the angle's not right, you just there's so much pressure on the photographer's train of thought that
Yeah.
sometimes after 2 3 hours I'm exhausted, and these guys are like, "Come on, let's go, man! I'm here. I'm ready. Let's shoot some more. Like, let's shoot some more.
Yeah.
I've shot you for 3 hours. I'm ready. I'm here." It's like
Yeah.
I can't keep. They're the ones that's supposed to be exhausted because they're like pre-contest. But for
Exactly.
whatever reason, their work ethic is so strong that they just want to get as many great shots as possible. And it happened both times with both Milos and Jay. They kind of really stand out as having this work ethic that is really admirable. So I love working with people like that.
Yeah.
I like working with amateurs. That particular shoot was challenging because it's against the law, first of all, to be on certain parts of certain monuments.
Yeah.
Like the Colosseum, unbeknownst to us, that's actually holy ground. That's part of the Vatican, even though I don't know if you've been there, but it's separated. It's
No.
completely separated. But it's like
Yeah.
the Vatican, even though that's in Italy,
Yeah.
that is owned by the Vatican. So we were told that it's like being inside of a church.
Okay.
So, we kind of used a distraction where there was another photographer, Bob Gardner.
Hmm.
I think he's still around. Great, great guy for Weider. And he was shooting Ronnie and Kevin on one side, and the police immediately came to shut them down. At
Oh
that
wow.
point, me and Milos were like, let's shoot over to the other side of the Coliseum. And I shot Milos by himself inside the Coliseum for like 5, 6 minutes until they shut us down. But in
Yeah.
those 5 minutes, I just shot so much. I was just like bang, 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 bang. There was no lights. So I didn't have to
Yeah.
wait for the recycling time back in the day. So we
Yeah.
got such great shots inside the Coliseum. And the only other shots I've seen of a photographer inside the Coliseum was Franco Colombo, I think 1968, 1969 by Artie Zeller. They're the only shots I've seen of a professional bodybuilder inside the Coliseum. He, I guess, didn't get arrested. We didn't get arrested.
Yeah. Thank
Fortunately,
God.
when the cops came around, I was actually a police officer. I was an athlete there was like a special forces where we
Yeah.
were athletes and we just trained all day. So it
Okay.
was like a small group of us. When I threw out some names of my trainer, like, oh, I know that guy. So you were in the military. Okay.
Yeah.
So we bonded right away
Yeah.
and we didn't get in trouble. Otherwise, it was pretty risky. And Milos was very diplomatic. He started putting the hat of the policeman on and taking
Okay.
pictures, and they became fans at the end of the day. He helped
Yeah.
save the day for sure.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
And the kind of the sad thing about it is we don't see shoots like this it, today. Like it's almost like a lost art. Um,
Well, it is because there's no one funding it. Like back in the
mhm.
day, Weider would
Magazines.
spend tons of money. I mean, just imagine shipping, 6 guys out. I mean,
Yeah.
he flew me to Rome, paid for my brother to be my assistant,
Yeah.
hair and makeup. He paid for the props. The same for the Miss Olympia. When Monica Brandt won the Miss Olympia, he
Yeah.
flew me and Robert Reef out to the French Riviera. We shot Timea, Monica, all those girls from the Miss Olympia for the
Yeah.
magazine. The internet is not funding this anymore. There's no
No.
company that will do that, will pay that amount of money to create epic images of that time and place
Yeah.
for prosperity. That mentality is just gone. So as much as I love the internet and love the immediate effects it has on the sport, that everything's volatile right now. So
Hmm.
no one's funding it. So yeah, good luck in going to Rome and getting 6 IFB pros
Yeah.
and shooting them, and who's paying for it. It's
Yeah.
just the mechanics just aren't there behind it. So that's kind of sad in a way that we don't have that anymore.
Yeah. So let's get into my next question here. Go back here. So let's talk about a little bit how me and you connected and started working together. So I was with Mutant. I was working at Mutant for 10 years. And then near the beginning of my time with Mutant, we were thinking about like we need to bring in a new athlete. We need someone to kind of propel this company forward a bit here. And you know, Rich Piana came along to Mutant. And I don't think a lot of people know this story, but how did Rich Piana get connected or linked up with Mutant?
Well, Rich was kind of always there. We were friends for like
Yeah.
12, 13 years training in Gold's Gym, North Hollywood. So he was coming up. He didn't have any tattoos yet. I started Malibu Bodywear, my clothing line, and I
Yeah.
hired him a couple of times for my clothing. Then he started competing a little higher level. He won the Mr. California, but he never really broke into the USA's. I think he did it once and didn't do well. And he just really started disliking the whole competitive aspects of bodybuilding. We would
Yeah.
talk a lot. Actually, we talked a lot more on the phone, I think, than in the gym. In the gym, oftentimes, like, hey, what are you doing? Chest? Let's do chest together. Or let's do triceps. It was that kind of deal. So we did talk a lot, but sometimes we would just talk for hours. I remember just being out in my yard, just talking to Rich about, just bodybuilding stuff. It was kind of,
Yeah.
and he would do a lot of cardio. So he'd call me while he was doing cardio sometimes. But yeah,
Congratulations.
he was always there. So I really wanted to get him in the magazines, but the magazines and him just didn't click. I sent him the flex, like, yeah, no, he's good, but he's not a pro. What does he want? In California, yeah, it's not a big deal. Like, we want IFBB pros. Do you have any IFBB pros? And like, well, he's not a pro, but he looks amazing. And
Hmm.
the same as Bob Kennedy. Bob published like one shot of him before he was famous, and that's it. The magazines didn't fall in love with Rich for sure. But
Yeah.
after doing so many auditions with Rich for commercials, at that time when you'd audition for a commercial in LA, there was like 20 bodybuilders, 5 knew how to read and actually portray some kind of emotion on camera. The other guys were just like pieces of wood. So me and him were booking, a lot of stuff. He did a lot of
Yeah.
commercials. I did a lot of commercials. He was doing movies. So we would audition often together, and he was really good. He was just so natural. He was just like very nonchalant about it. Like, you want me to be an idiot? I'll be an idiot. You want me to be the
Yeah.
bad guy? I'd be the bad guy. So he would like get in character really quick, and which is great for as an actor, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, this guy needs to be on video, not in magazine. He's not a magazine guy. So when Mutant started, Ryan Keller, who was practically building that company from scratch,
Yeah.
he was in charge of everything. I mean, he was my guy. I thought it was his company. He was very
Yeah.
meticulous in the direction, the look. He would tell me, this is the font we're using. Everything was very artistic and very calculated. He had a vision and he stuck to it.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, let's do commercials," because I wanted to do commercial directing. It's like, let's do
Yes.
commercials. Let's do commercials on Rich. This guy is Rich is great. Well, let's do commercials. Like, he is like, we'll do commercials later. Right now, I think the big thing on YouTube would be like a series, like a
Yes.
web series, like something you'd see on TV, but it's on YouTube. I'm like, oh, okay, I really want to do commercials because I wanted to
Mhm.
get a great commercial directing reel. But okay, let's do
Yeah.
something episodic with a storyline.
Yeah.
I sent him some pictures of Rich. He didn't fall in love with him in the beginning at all. Like, he's almost 40, and what does he want?
Yeah.
The California? Like, that's an okay title, but
Yes.
we'd like to get someone like an IFBB pro. I said, trust me, Rich, it doesn't even matter if he competes or not. He is great on camera. I've seen him act on camera. The way he is on camera is perfect for YouTube, because fitness on YouTube was just blowing up then.
Yeah.
Actually, before Rich, there wasn't that much.
Yeah.
There was some really crappy training shots with really hardcore rock music, but there's no story. There's No one was really giving advice or talking about their day. He was the first that did that. So thanks to Ryan, he gave me the job to put together all these episodes. Me and Rich the day before would talk about some episodes, the subject matter, and suggest those to Ryan. So he'd say yes or no, and that's what we would shoot. I guess the rest is history because
Yep.
it was like a perfect storm. So Rich was amazing on camera.
Yeah.
Ryan had that vision that translated to YouTube perfectly. YouTube was really discovering bodybuilding and fitness at the time. And I think within 6 months, he was the most popular bodybuilder on YouTube, period, which
Yeah.
translated to the expos. I mean, you go to an expo, there'd be Ronnie, there'd be Jay, there'd all these great, Phil Heath. They all had great presence,
Yes.
a lot of fans, but his fans were lining up around the block. I'm like, how did this happen? Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on. I don't think anybody was planning on it.
No.
It just kind of happened, right? You were there, so
I was there. Yeah. We were from the beginning, and I remember posting the first image of Rich Piana and say introducing the new super mutant Rich Piana
yeah,
on Instagram, and that started to blow up. And I just went down that whole journey with it. And yeah, the LA Fit Expo. I think that was the first expo he did with us. Was the LA? It was
I
January, I think,
remember that. Yeah,
right?
yep.
And it was
There was
this.
a big
This was
line there.
just yeah, a huge line. We just announced him, like he just, and that was that quick that people were just gravitated towards him, his character,
That's
his
where he met
charisma.
Chanel.
Yes, yes, yeah, man.
She
So
was there in line. She
she
told
was
me,
there.
like, you were there. Like, that's where
Yeah,
I met
man,
Rich.
that's
Like, that's
crazy. Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah,
and like it was just unbelievable. He was the most viral bodybuilder on the planet.
yeah,
Even the Mr. Olympias and Jay, all of them, they wanted to come into the booth and meet Rich and get a
yeah,
picture with
yeah,
him. It was like that crazy. And
yeah,
if it wasn't for you and Keller kind of having the connection and the vision to take that risk,
yeah.
there it is. There's the stuff right there. But to take that risk, it would have never happened, in my opinion,
No,
which is
because the
crazy.
platform at the time was magazines. And
Yeah.
if you weren't on the magazine, you didn't exist. If you were a bodybuilder that wasn't in the magazines, who knows you? You're not on TV, you're not on the
Yeah.
radio. The internet was just starting. Even if you're a company trying to sell supplements or clothing, if you're not in the magazines, you're non-existent. So everything was based on the magazines. The whole world of bodybuilding lived there. So this YouTube thing was new. And I think Rich's strong point was his voice. He had such a great voice. I said, man, I wish I had your voice and his presence. He had a voice that came from his stomach. It
Yeah, it
was
was
just
deep.
very, and he was just very, not slow, but he would take his time in
Hmm.
explaining things. He was just very, very friendly. So it was the what he put on camera was very viewer friendly. It wasn't like, this is what I take, do what I do. I'm going to motivate you. There's a
Yeah.
little bit of that, but that's just because, the client maybe told him to do that. That wasn't really him. So his personality came through on video. So he was made to be on video. That's why he became what he was.
Yeah, and so many people tried to, mimic him and try to, with the
Yeah,
tattoos, and they thought that would work for their company and all that, but
yeah.
you can't
And the
duplicate
only
Rich
reason
Piana.
why he went downhill, I think, is just because he
Yeah.
started with the narcotics. Because otherwise, he'd still
Yeah.
be around today. Like, and I
Yeah.
told him we'd have arguments. Two big arguments we had was one, you gotta stop doing the narcotics. Just the steroids is
Yes.
bad enough. I don't have to tell you. You're a grown man, so you know the risk. I'm not your
Yeah.
dad.
Yeah.
So, but when you start mixing narcotics with the steroids and things, it's a stimulant. Your heart's not going to take it. And I told him, just don't do that. You don't need it. What for?
Yeah.
So that was a big thing. And then I thought personally that he shouldn't use four-letter words
Okay.
on YouTube. But he said, no, that's who I am. That's what I'm going to be. And like, I
Yeah.
get that. But me and him, and not many people, I think nobody knows this. I was writing a script for Rich as the protagonist. I was going to fund it
Okay.
myself.
Yeah.
I pretty much had funding in place. I was writing a script of a lone bodybuilder that got caught up in the wrong crowd. He does this heist, and he's a good guy finding himself in a bad situation. There was a great arc to the story. I think he had the acting chops
Oh.
to pull it off.
Yeah.
So if we're building this persona for Hollywood, let's not have a million swear words. Yeah, for it's just it's better to tone it down.
Yeah.
Maybe I was wrong in that. Maybe he was right. I don't know. I just thought that if they're going to search you and you see you're cussing and swearing, some production companies and producers might get a little turned off because you're an unknown.
Yeah.
If Bobby De Niro says "f you" this and that's cool because he's Bobby De Niro. But an up
Exactly.
and comer, let's keep you a little clean because they're already going to look at you and like, this guy's harsh.
Yeah.
This guy's a bad. Oh, this guy's mean because he's got the tats. He's huge. So for someone who's outside of this role, they might think, well, this guy's is a badass, but he had such a good heart. That's what I wanted to show people, right? So
Hmm.
we know you can play the bad guy and be tough and mean, but let's show that you're a good guy with a heart that can help people, and that's more interesting as far as story to me. So those two
Yeah.
things we disagreed upon. Him doing. You'd show up sometimes saying, "Oh, I took Adderall. Like, I'm gonna do much better today because I took Adderall." Like, I don't know what Adderall is. I kind of
Yeah.
do, but I don't think you should be taking it. And I could tell his
No.
pupils are really dilated. I'm like, Rich, don't. It's like, so we go
Yeah.
along on everything. We have like the same bodybuilding ideas
Hmm.
and dreams and everything. Just those two things we kind of disagreed upon. And oh well,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is
It's
what it
it's
is.
it's sad that he went down that route of
Yeah.
getting into the drugs, and you could see it deteriorating. His skin, his face was changing. It was like,
Yeah,
man,
yeah. The tattoos got a little too overboard with the contacts and the evil
yeah.
look. Like, you're not evil, dude. You're rich.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
why are you trying to just be
Yeah.
the way you are? Just be the way you were like 2 years ago. That's
Yeah.
what people love. And to
Yeah.
this day, I get emails almost daily when they see like the old raw footage of that first series. Like,
Yes.
oh man, Rich looks so much better here. He's big, but he's healthy.
He was healthier.
Like, well,
Yeah.
that's who he really was. I think
Yes.
I think fame just kind of goes to your head
It
after a while, right?
it did. Yeah. This kind of went to his head, I think, and
Yeah, I think if he didn't pass away, he would have an art
oh,
where he would come back to his roots. I think he tried
yeah.
the I'm the rock star, badass kind of guy, which was not him. I think he
Yeah.
would have come back to who he really was,
Yeah.
and who he really was a good guy.
He was a
I
good
think he
guy.
got caught up in a crowd where I kind of separated myself after a while.
Yeah.
It's just not my scene, that
Yeah.
he was hanging out with people and doing things.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm too boring to live that
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
wasn't really me. I think he would have had an arc and come back to what he really was. And he
Yeah.
could have had a career
Oh
till
man.
a
He
hundred.
exactly. He
Yeah,
would have still been killing it, as he would always
for
say.
sure.
You
For
know,
sure.
it's and done maybe got into movies or something more. Like you were
For
trying to work
sure.
with him. Like
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because he was so good in commercials and the TV
yeah.
shows and things. And just as far as an audition piece, having your own series on YouTube, like,
Yeah.
do I need to prove that I can act? This is me.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. So if
Exactly.
you write something for me, it's going to be, it's not a guaranteed hit. No one can guarantee that, but
No,
I could have guaranteed a good movie for sure with him.
totally, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but oh,
Well, let me go back here, back to my questions. So again, you've been a part of the bodybuilding history. It's crazy everything you've witnessed. You witnessed Arnold Schwarzenegger competing at the 1980 Mr.
I
Olympia, like
did.
in person.
I did. Crazy,
How was
right?
that? That's crazy. No one, I've
Well, I grew up
never.
in Australia, and I
Yeah,
was a little Italian immigrant boy from
yeah,
3 to 12. I grew up in
yeah,
Australia.
yeah.
So I would speak English up to like 3 o'clock at school. Then from three
Yeah.
o'clock to bedtime is only Italian. So I was purely bilingual.
Okay.
To this day, I often think in Italian, try to translate in English, or English in Italian doesn't come out right. So
Yeah.
I still have a little bit of confusion in my head. But apart from that, yeah. So when I heard that they were doing the Mr. Olympia in 1980, we didn't know that Arnold was going to compete, but Zane won the 79 Olympia. Menser was coming up. I want to see like Zane and Menser on stage.
Yeah.
That was just mind blowing. So when I get there, the week before, I meet John Balick and I meet Ben Weider. And
Okay.
Ben Weider was saying, well, Arnold's going to do an exhibition probably. Like, well, he's doing an exhibition. Arnold's doing an
Yeah.
exhibition. Like, yeah, well, he's in shape for Conan. He's really ripped. And you're going to have a surprise tomorrow. Like, what do you mean? Like, you're going to have a surprise.
Okay.
Like, what is he going to compete? Like, what, he's going to be on stage?
Yeah.
You'll see him tomorrow. So he wasn't really giving out exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And when, number 4 comes out and it's Arnold, they're competing just
Wow.
like I was
So it's a
16.
surprise. Wow. Okay.
It was just
Okay.
nuts. It was really, I mean, I knew I wanted to be a bodybuilder when I
Yeah.
saw the 1980 Olympia. Like, this is my life. This is what I want to be. This is what I love. It's the most hated sport in Italy in 1980.
Okay.
They didn't know what it was. Like,
Yeah.
if you lift weights, you're going to be gay.
Yeah.
You're not going to get erections. And you're some kind of narcissist, and
Okay.
girls hate that. It's like every stereotype was embedded in bodybuilding. Like, you
Yes.
cannot move, you won't be able to swim, no way you can walk around because you're going to
Wow.
be too big. And it's like, sheesh, it's like
Yeah.
the most
Wow.
unpopular sport. I said, I don't care. This is
It's,
what I want to do. And I want to
yeah.
go to America and be one. I want to be the California. I was buying the whole California dream.
Yeah.
So that was a life-changing moment at 16.
Yeah.
Even meeting guys like Mike Metzer, Tom Platz. I talked to
Wow.
Zane for a couple seconds. Ben Weider, John Bailey. And John Bailey told me, yeah, I did. I took care of Arnold's diet. I'm like, well, how is he? How is he? Is
Yeah.
he in shape? Like, he's actually very ripped. He was showing me a picture of him in 75, and said his
Yeah.
waist is a little smaller. He's
Okay.
very ripped. He doesn't have the size of 1975, but he's very well conditioned. And that's
Yeah.
exactly how he was. The guy was ripped. I mean, when he did the Christmas tree, a lot of guys, Metzer did not have a Christmas tree. He did not have any
Okay.
striations on his back, period. Arnold,
Yeah.
when he did the back poses, like, he was ripped. He
Yeah.
wasn't as big as 1975 for sure.
Okay.
I think it
Okay.
was like 80%, but you know what it is? It's just he's mesmerizing when he poses. When he did any kind of arm shot, forget it. I mean, nobody existed. He just dwarfed everybody. So he
Yeah.
won. I think that pose won more. If you look at it analytically, the tricep and the legs,
Yeah.
he had so many defects. When he started doing the arm poses, bang, 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 bang. It's
Just
just
came.
like,
Yeah.
it's like a boxer getting hit, left and
Yeah.
right. He just destroyed him that way. So he was just so impressive, the performance,
Yeah.
that I think the judges said, okay, I think we can give it to him.
One
I
more.
mean, if
Yeah.
you be analytical about it, probably not. But
Yeah.
like Frank Zane said, I don't know who should have won it. He said, I wasn't in top shape because of my accident.
Yeah.
Mike, he was very watery. He had a lot of defects.
Yeah. Mike. Yeah.
Chris Dickerson, he had no biceps and he posed amazingly, but he just didn't look like the clear winner. Borico was not the clear winner, even though he looked amazing.
Mhm.
Everybody looked fantastic. There was not one clear winner where you could say this guy should have won 100%.
Yeah.
And for Frank Zane to say that, I mean, he was there.
Yeah.
So it's a very unusual contest that will probably never be explained completely.
Yeah.
I'm just happy I was there at 16 in person to
Yeah.
witness it. That was truly
It's cool.
amazing.
So cool that you were able to witness that and be a part of that history and see that
Yeah.
happen live. So moving into the supplement industry, Obviously, fitness supplements and companies have played a huge role in bodybuilding. What's been your approach to creating visual content for brands that need to stand out and be competitive in the market? So you don't just shoot bodybuilding and fitness, you actually shoot products. That's a whole nother level
Yeah,
that you're
I
into as well.
yeah, I'd say 50% of my clients are either supplement companies or gym equipment, home gym equipment companies.
Yeah.
So kind of the same world, very different in certain ways. Um, my advice these days, living in the internet age, I advise companies to have like one or two amazing pieces, like a commercial that you would see on ESPN, where it looks like it's $1 million. It looks like a
Okay.
Nike Gatorade commercial. So
Okay.
put your money and efforts into creating that great piece where it looks like you spent a lot of money
Yeah.
and there's a certain artistic flair to it. And then the rest should be just really realistic, authentic, user generated
Organic. Okay.
content. And it
Okay.
has to be constant, constant, constant. It has to be a lot of it. And if you shoot the great stuff, the commercial looking stuff, cut that up into 10, 15-second
Yeah.
pieces and put that in the beginning or the end of that. Just get that out there, just little glimpses of we know how to make a great commercial, even though this what this girl is showing us right now looks like crap because it's on her iPhone, but it's
Yes.
authentic. So it shows
Yeah.
both. It just gives more depth to the brand, I think. Whereas if it's all user generated, it kind of looks cheap in my eyes. If it's too glossy and perfect, that's not real anymore.
Yes.
Now everyone's buying the Gatorade, the sweat and everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
if that's all it is, that doesn't really relate to the consumer anymore. If you
Yeah.
find that nice balance between the two, I think that's
Okay.
golden right now, and it can
Yeah.
change in 12 months. I don't know, but right now I think that's key.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you need a brand commercial, high level
Yeah,
production, and then yeah, a lot of user generated organic content that's made by
yeah, big time.
ambassadors or influencers and stuff like that. So a
Yeah,
combination of that. What's the key to building a long lasting professional relationships with big name athletes and major brands in the fitness industry? Because a lot of people come and go, but Alex Ardenti is always there. He's still in the business. He's still working with these major brands and these athletes around the world. How do you do it?
I think I figured it out.
Yeah, you
you
did.
have to, you have to deliver. You really have to deliver.
Yeah,
And even if it's not a 100% your best, it has to be 80 to 90% of your best work. If you
yeah,
deliver, a company is more reassured.
yeah,
For example, I shot for a supplement company, I'd say a month ago. There was like four people that came from like three different continents. And the
yeah,
athlete was one was from LA, the other one got flown in. Everybody had to meet in that gym that morning. That was the only day.
yeah,
If I didn't deliver what they
yeah,
wanted,
yeah,
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 yeah. So if someone's
yeah,
experimenting and trying different things, let's try. Yeah, that's not the time to experiment. Do that on
yeah,
your own time. A client is paying you. They have art directors. They have advertising
yeah,
agencies there representing. Again, they're leaving at 5 o'clock. By four
yeah,
o'clock, you need to have everything in can. So that's why I prepare myself. Talk about jitters, right? And butterflies. I have a
yeah.
plan A, a plan B, a plan C. I show up with like five, six cameras.
Yes.
I've never broken a camera. Okay, once I did, but I've
Yeah.
never really had like major technical difficulties.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it's like, oh my god, if my camera breaks, they don't care. They're like, dude,
No,
don't you
have
have
a
another
second.
camera? So I have like three or
Yeah.
four cameras. The
Yeah.
assistants that I hire, they're photographers too. If I get hit by
Yeah.
a bus,
Yes.
my guy, I know he can do a pretty good job. At least that
Yeah.
client has something. So you need to really deliver it because that's the business part of it. It's
Yeah.
corporate America. They're paying you. They're probably paying you pretty well.
Yeah.
They're not shooting this on an iPhone.
No.
They're paying for your expertise. You need to give them a good product. And I like to give them a little bit of extra. If my
Yeah.
contract says it's 300 images, I'll give you
Yeah, I
400. I don't
remember.
care. I'm
Yeah.
there. I just want to do good stuff. Like I asked
Yeah.
them, can I do this also? Like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember.
So
Yeah, working with because I worked with you. I think the last video shoot we did was with Charity Witt in Atlanta.
oh
I think you
yeah,
remember we
yeah.
were out there, right?
I'll
And
talk about everything going wrong on that shoot, but I am looking at the footage and like, this is really good. I like
yeah.
it's part of my reel because, okay, the two guys that I hired from Craigslist, they didn't show up.
Oh yes.
So
Yes.
it's just me
Yes.
scrambling around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, During the
But
trip, two of my pieces of equipment broke. The gimbal, that was all messed
yeah.
up. My
Yeah.
tripod was messed up. So I just got super creative. Now, if you remember, I was like in
Yeah.
the background changing my own light, then coming back forth
Yes.
and just going. And you and Ron were just so
Yeah.
gracious. You're trying to help me
Yeah.
and moving stuff around because
Yeah.
I'm used to having a little crew that will adjust and tweak the lights, according to
Yeah.
what I see from here.
Yeah.
So not having that, I was just scrambled. But I think we pulled it off, all
Oh
three of
yeah.
us together.
Oh,
I
that
think
was
we got some
awesome.
good shots. Yeah,
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 that was a great shoot, and we did
yeah.
another one in Marietta, California, with
Oh
Dusty
yeah,
Hanshaw and was
what
it,
a
who
great
else was
gym,
it?
right?
Yeah, it was a great gym. Yeah, great atmosphere.
Metroflex. Yeah,
Metroflex. Yeah,
Metroflex
Marietta.
Murrieta. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
Ryan.
yeah, Ryan. Yeah, that was fun. And Ron was there. I forget who it was. Dusty and is it Dusty and Ron training, or was it
No, it's Dusty and the blonde guy. He's really wide.
his friend? His I think it was his training partner.
Yeah, blonde dude
Yeah, yeah,
with a K. I forgot.
yeah.
He looked great.
I forget his. Yeah,
That
he
was
was
a good
good.
series too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was
Johnny
fun.
Jackson. Didn't we
Johnny
do something with Johnny
Jackson. Yeah,
Jackson together?
we did stuff with Johnny.
Yeah.
So yeah, just great memories working with you, Alex, and always had a great time. And you're always professional. You always delivered, and that's why like you have long lasting relationship. You're still doing it this many years
I'm
later.
still doing
So
what I love, and I'm
yeah,
fortunate. Yeah, for sure.
it's awesome, awesome. Um, okay, next question here. What's your creative process when preparing for a shoot in a high profile athlete? Um, do you have a lot of direction, or are you getting direction from the actual company, or is it kind of a mixture when it comes to that?
Oftentimes, an art director will say, "I need this landscape shot. I want the athlete here in the corner. I want this
Yeah.
open because we have graphics." So that becomes technical, and that's fine.
Okay.
That's what they
Yeah.
need. That's what I give them. I like it when it's me and the athlete just getting creative, and it depends on the personality. Like, and everyone's a little different. Like Sean Roden.
Yeah.
The first time I shot him, I said, "Well," because I didn't know I'd never worked with the guy. He seemed like a very low key, nice guy. But I said, "Well, what do you want to do? I mean, do you want to do like something really pumped up where you're like super hardcore, and then we do the more artsy stuff? You want to do
Yeah.
it the other way around? That's fine." He's like, "Alex, just tell me what to do, and I'll do it."
Yeah.
Like, all right, dude, let's go. We must have shot no more than 1 hour, and it was just like
Uh,
bang, bang, like everything I told him, like do this, do that. No, that's bad.
yeah.
This is good. So he followed my directions. He trusted me, and it was just so refreshing for an eye. He was Mr. Olympia. Like,
Yes.
Alex, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And like,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay. We
No,
gotta get along great. So
that's
there's
awesome.
that. And other
Yeah.
times, you want to get some feedback. I don't like when, well, it's not that I don't like it. It just doesn't work. It doesn't deliver great product. When the guy says, well, I'm going to pump up for like 20, 30 minutes. And then you got these 10 minutes to shoot me. And then that's it. Or we have to only do these exercises. Like, okay, that's fine and dandy for you. But my
Yeah.
client says he wants this, this, and this. There's a story that we need to shoot. And I need to get you walking in the gym. I need to get you doing this. It's not me. I'm delivering a product for my client. So for you to be a prima donna and say, I don't want to do this, I only want to do that, and they're sticking to their guns, it's like you need to work it out with the client first. So don't take over the set. I don't tell you how to prepare for the Mr. Olympia. I don't think you should
No.
tell your client who's paying you and
Yeah.
me exactly what you want to do and what you don't want to do. If that's the case, hash that out before we get to the set. Because on the set, I like working in a stress-free, attitude-free environment. I
Yeah.
want to have a good time. I'm not saying we have to joke around and dance, but I want to be positive and happy. At the end of the day, I want to be exhausted, but because we've got a lot of great stuff, not because there's conflicts between the
Mhm.
whoever. I
Yeah.
don't like those kind of shoots. I don't have them too often, but so it depends on the environment that you create.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember the environment too is that you had your son there a lot of the times, and you
Yeah,
were like training him
sometimes
to
all
be.
three.
Yeah, that was awesome. And how is it working with your son? Does he want to be a photographer? I remember the one that was at Marietta, the old. I think it was your
Yeah,
oldest one, maybe.
no, no.
Yeah. No. No.
Well, when before they were born, I said I wanna have a director, a writer, and a producer, so we're all
Yeah.
working for Ardenti Films, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that's not happening at
No.
all.
Okay. Okay.
Not at
All
all.
right. I think he does
Well,
magic tricks. Does he do magic stuff, or is that the one that I
he
saw?
is an amazing magician.
Okay.
He's Ashton Ardenti. He's
Yeah.
18.
Yeah.
He is the youngest magician to ever work and have his own show at the Magic Castle, which has been around since like 1945 or something.
Wow.
He's the
Okay.
youngest. So
Wow.
he's that talented. From 9 years old, constantly tricks, this,
Hmm.
that, illusionists, It's just, the whole old school pull a bunny out of a hat. That's the old school. That's
Old
nothing.
school,
Now
yeah.
it's what David Blaine does. It's a
Yes.
post magic. It's
Yes.
like I'm doing this, that. So it's not really magic tricks. It's an
It's
illusion.
entertaining. It's more, yeah, yeah. It's different.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
he's got his own career. He's making bank. He's
That's
making
good.
bank without any expenses.
That's
He'll get
awesome.
2-3 grand a pop like that in two
Yeah.
hours. I'm like, what? I got to load my car and I have to hire 3 guys, go to the gym, shoot and deliver. And you
Yeah.
just made it just to hang out at a party.
It's
So
changed. Yeah. It's totally
I
changed.
give
Yeah.
him a hard time, but so he's got his career. The middle one is an amazing actor. He hasn't
Okay.
booked anything yet, but just from the monologues he does, he has this natural ability. So I
Okay.
think that's going to be his route, which is fine.
Yeah.
And the little guy, I think he's really into working out, great genetics,
Good.
and he's a little filmmaker. He's actually
Good.
working on his first little short film. The
Cool.
problem is that he just doesn't listen to me at all. Like I try to explain, like try putting the Daddy, I know what I'm doing. I saw this video and that. Okay, you want to be taught by YouTube? That's fine.
Okay.
What do
Fine.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So,
hilarious.
which is good because he has his own stamp on his work. So,
That's good. That's
I
good.
haven't seen the short film yet.
Okay.
It's coming along pretty good though. So.
Okay. Well, okay. Next question here. You witnessed decades of bodybuilding evolution. How has the rise of social media and digital platforms changed your role as a photographer in the industry? Like, how have you competing with that nowadays?
Yeah, like I said, everything's very volatile, so I don't feel that there's something that's a lasting impression. Like
Yeah.
now we're talking about Rich Piana. We don't have anything here to show it. We have to have a device. So
Yeah.
not having things on print or in a book, it's different. I think things just come and go and in a faster cycle.
Yeah.
Whereas before with the printed material just stayed longer. So you just have to adapt. I actually I love the internet and the digital age because it just changed.
Hmm.
The things I do now were impossible 10, 20 years ago. I
Yeah.
mean, I shot my first commercial was on film, 35 millimeter film,
Yeah.
and that cost me $12,000 in expenses for one day, and I got a
Wow.
30-second commercial. Luckily, I was able to
Wow.
sell it, and I got some of that
Yeah.
money back. But
Okay.
today, I'm not spending 12 grand on my digital camera.
No.
I've got the camera. I edit it myself at home.
Yeah.
So that really opened a lot of doors. If you're a creative guy that really wants to work, you can just build your own career. You don't have to knock on doors, at the studios. May I do this film? I got this great idea. Will you give me the money to do this? I got cinema cameras that are approved by Netflix. I have two
Yeah.
of them. I have lighting. I can shoot a feature film tomorrow morning and
Yeah.
be the quality where it goes on any streamer. My stuff's on Apple TV.
Yeah.
I mean, so that was unheard of 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just nuts. So I like it more than I hate it. Let's put it that way. I don't want to be the negative guy saying, oh, everything's horrible now, social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the immediacy of it and just creating something and putting it out there and everybody in the world sees it. I love that. I love that a lot.
Looking back on your career, is there any particular moment or achievement that stands out as your proudest moment? You've done so much. I don't know how you could pick and choose, but if there was one, what would that be that moment?
For photography, I think finally being accepted by Joe Weider and the art directors there in the office, because that
Yeah.
was really hard for me to get. Literally, it took like 2 years of going there
Okay.
almost. I would just show up,
Yeah.
and sometimes the girls at the front desk, they kind of roll their eyes like, oh, this guy again. He's
Yeah.
dropping off something. I know he's going to be back tomorrow because they don't want it.
No.
I didn't care. I knew I could do that, so I just kept pushing. I just needed to find the right moment. And I think the right moment came when I shot Mike O'Hearn, who he looks amazing now, but even
Yeah.
then he looked amazing. We shot great shots of him and a girl on the beach.
Okay.
He was like Weider's golden boy. Joe Weider loved Mike. I mean, he would be like on back-to-back covers, like one month
Yeah.
after the other, just crazy stuff, right? So when they saw these great shots of Mike O'Hearn, they didn't buy them, but I think I proved to them that I can do muscle fitness quality work. And that's when they
Yeah.
started giving me the assignments, and then they
Yeah.
sent me to Rome. They sent me,
Yeah.
Miss Olympia and this and that, and I started getting assignments. They sent me to live 3 days with Ronnie Coleman,
That's awesome.
Kevin
Yeah.
Levrone, just a lot of different great assignments that
Yeah.
were almost unimaginable for me for that kid who just bought a camera. Right now, I'm
Yeah.
working. I didn't become Mr. Olympia, and then I didn't get the accolades that Joe Weider would have given me being an IFBB pro. But
Yeah.
I remember one time, it was actually quite a few times, I would meet Joe Weider and Betty Weider in restaurants here on Ventura Boulevard,
Okay.
around Tarzana, Woodland Hills.
Cool.
I'd always meet. He would just love going to restaurants. And one time, I'm with Stephanie, and she's like, "What? Oh, that's Joe Weider and Betty Weider. They walk in. I mean, you're having dinner, and Joe Weider and Betty Weider walk in, like, right, by
Yeah.
themselves." And I stand up, like, hey, I go to meet him, like, "Oh, how Alex? How you doing?" Like, he knows my name.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was just like, oh, that's so cool. That Joe Weider with Betty Weider. I mean,
Yeah.
there are like photos of him and Betty Weider on my wall at 12.
That's
And
crazy.
now he knows my name. I meet him in a
Yeah.
restaurant, not even a work
Yeah.
environment. He's like, great photos, keep up the good work. It's just like, I just became such, I just regressed into that 12-year-old looking
Yeah.
at the photos of him and Arnold and Betty Weider on my wall.
Yeah.
And that was just a magical moment. I wish I had
Awesome.
videotape of it.
Oh man,
But
it's crazy, crazy moments, crazy memories. And
yeah.
tell us about kind of moving forward here, projects you're working on now, movies. I know I think you're working on something now. So but just tell the viewers kind of what you're working on and what
Well,
to look
real
forward
quick,
to.
I'm doing 3 documentaries. I'm finishing Frank Zane, Defined.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we shot that during the pandemic. There was quite a few obstacles there. So I'm going to release that next year.
Okay.
And I started a series called Access Muscle. One's out. It's on the gym culture. It's a bit more hardcore. It talks about the golden era and how the
Yeah.
whole evolution of fitness started, because it did start with bodybuilding. No matter
Yeah.
what other people might say, I can prove that
Yeah.
everything started here in California in Gold's Gym. The whole fitness movement
Yeah.
started back in Gold's Gym with the bodybuilders.
Yes.
And whoever doesn't believe me, I'll argue this point forever because I can prove it
Totally. Yeah.
historically. Anyway, that touches on that. The second one is on the advent of the home gym. Like, who would have thought
Okay.
that people at home would have such elaborate gyms and actually be working out at home? In the
Yeah.
60s and 70s, nobody really worked out at home. You do some push-ups and this and that, but
Yeah.
now some of these home gyms that you see are just freaking amazing.
Yeah.
They really go all out. So if you don't want to be in the crowded gym, you can work out at home. So this is a whole new phenomenon that really took off under COVID. I mean, how many people would never step foot in a gym,
Oh
yet they
yeah.
work out at home? So that's a huge story that I'm working on. And also, the third one is that I'm shooting at the same time, female fitness. How did that
Okay.
happen? Because there was a point where females were not allowed in gyms. That's just the
Exactly.
way it was. It was a men's club.
Yeah.
Young Men's Club of America. I mean, they weren't even allowed to go into any gym. These girls are working out harder than us. I mean, they're
Yeah.
squatting, they're
Oh,
deadlifting. I mean, beautiful girls that
they're
don't necessarily
focused. They're
look
in
like
there. They got,
powerlifters.
yeah, like they got their headphones on. They're focused.
Oh, I
Like
know.
they're
Like,
like way more
don't even.
serious than a lot of the guys.
They're focused.
Yes.
I'm goofing around with my friends,
Yeah.
and they're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're the real athletes. So how did
Yeah.
that happen? That whole
Yeah.
evolution, I think,
That's cool.
hasn't
Yeah.
been
That'll be
told.
good. Yeah.
The last one I saw on female fitness, so to speak, was pumping iron to the women. And I'm not really concerned on the competitive aspect. I don't.
Yeah.
That's not that interesting.
Yeah.
It's just how women perceive lifting weights. They
Yeah.
go from, I'm not lifting that because I don't want to be big and
I want to be
bulky. I don't want
bulky.
biceps too. How do
Yeah.
I get that glute pump?
Yes.
There's a story there, I think, right? So
Yeah.
I'm actively shooting that with different people. So they're
Okay.
they're great projects. I'm very happy. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And tell us a little bit quickly before we wrap up about your supplement brand and your clothing brand. I know you still have. Yeah.
Well, I revived Malibu Bodywear because
Yeah.
after like a gazillion store owners saying, bring back Malibu, bring back
Yeah.
Malibu, like I kind of stopped Malibu because without the internet, it was too hard to have a warehouse there and reps going around different stores.
Yeah.
Now I have a logistics company in Rome where I can
Okay.
take an order and send it from my phone,
Yeah.
which did not happen before. That's like the Amazon effect, right? So
Yes.
now that I have that's why I like technology like you. That's
Yeah.
a great thing about technology. So I
Yeah.
can literally talk to a store owner on WhatsApp,
Yeah.
get the order, ship out whatever clothing they want. The next day they have it in their store. So
Exactly.
I
Good.
thought this was the time to do it. Along with that, I have Alpha Pro Nutrition that I started. It got big so quick, it was overwhelming. I had to put it
Yeah.
on hold because I was
Okay.
getting at the same time so many jobs as a photographer and director. I
Yes.
was just too spread out thin, so I put it on hold for a while. Now, again, with the logistics, I'm
Yeah.
able to control everything. I can talk to the store owner, tell him exactly. He can tell me what he wants, what he doesn't want, and
Yeah.
I can run everything here from the States without being in Italy. So I'm focusing on the Italian European market,
Okay.
and this year I'm also going to hit the United States.
Yeah.
We're already in Texas and California. I'm just going gradually. I don't want my
Yeah.
product. I'm not competing to be the best. I don't want to be
It's more
optimal
about quality
nutrition.
and doing
That's
it right and slow and not getting and
Yeah, I'm not that kind of
expanding.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm a better artist than I am a
Yeah.
businessman, but I like having the rapport with the guy behind the counter. I think
Yes.
that's the guy who builds your
Okay.
brand. If you
Totally.
can convince him and if he can understand your product, why you make that product that way,
Yeah.
he'll be the first one to advertise it.
Yeah.
So I'm not battling on prices and this and that. That's the whole thing that it's just
Yeah.
not appealing to me.
Yeah.
But I want to work with other people who are selling the product and building the brand. And again, I'm not trying to be the biggest brand. This is an extra thing that hopefully one of my three boys will take up. Maybe the little guy, because he's
Yeah.
a little meathead of the family. So
Yeah.
he loves like the energy drinks and this and that. And
Cool.
you should do this flavor and that flavor. And let's try
Yeah.
this label. So
Okay.
he's
There
really
you
into
go.
that.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
loves going to the expos. So
Cool. Good.
I think he's the guy. I'm going to start it for him and hopefully he can
Okay.
take it to a
Take it
different
over.
level.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, man, this is a long time coming,
What
and I
about you?
really.
Hold on.
Oh.
You're super interesting. You're always doing something. You're like the first in the bodybuilding world to really take advantage, so to speak, and really
Yeah.
immerse himself in the technology and the
Yes.
internet. How did that happen? Why did that happen? You're a geek
Um.
before that, right?
Yeah, I guess I was. I guess I just loved marketing. I loved putting something out there and getting a reaction from people. And so I was
Yeah.
always wanting to just push, 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 get content out. And then being able to work with Mutant and being a part of the marketing team and being able to work with Rich Piana and
Yeah.
see that explode, this made me more obsessed with it and just being a part of that, the marketing world, and especially in bodybuilding and getting to travel all over the world and meet all the best bodybuilders in the world and work with people like you. Yeah, it's just been a dream for me, and being involved in that kind of little bit of a history there with, especially with Rich and everything and Mutant, and what happened was a really cool experience. And yeah, I'm
Yeah.
working on other things. I got, you see the Cream of Rice back there. Launched that company with a
Is that
partner,
yours?
and yeah, co-owner of
It's
that. We
called
just
Cream of Rice?
it's called Helix Foods is the name of the
Oh,
company, and
nice.
then it's Cream of Rice. We have chocolate cake and blueberry muffin flavor and unflavored, and we're gonna
Or
launch
maybe
that.
we should hit the European market because I have a
Yeah.
license to import and export all kinds of things. So we can
Okay,
talk.
there it is. That's how the connections work right there. I didn't
Exactly,
see.
right? It's all
Right.
about the relationships.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. Well, we'll definitely hit you up after this. We'll talk about that. Yeah, because we just launched
Okay.
it in November. In November, so it's good.
Good
It's
luck
good.
with
We
that,
got it's
man.
we're on Amazon already. So yeah, it's pretty good. So we're
If you
happy
need
about
some
it.
pretty pictures, just
I
let me
know
know.
that's the next step. We
All right.
we can work something out there. Make it happen. That's
I'll work
awesome.
for the cream of rice.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, appreciate it. Okay. Well, definitely would love to have you back on. Have to do some more of your big movie launches and premieres and stuff like that. We'll have you on. We'll talk about that and lots to come for Alex Ardenti. It's so exciting, and it was great to have you on, brother.
It's an honor. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Okay. All right. Okay, guys.
Thank
We will
you.
catch you on the next one. Peace. See you guys.
Peace. Bye.
Thanks, Alex. Bye.
Thank you.